primarily over the last several months, I've been working on three scenes: the Golden Pond scene, the Whispering Creek scene, and the Family Farm scene. I've made quite a lot of progress over the last few months. Want to share that with you today. They're not completely done yet, as with most things with this hobby. I don't think they're ever totally done, but that's part of the fun of the hobby. But anyway, I want to share with you the progress I've made in those three scenes. And then also, I'm getting into lighting up the HO set with lights. And it's really kind of a neat thing because it adds an entirely new dimension to the HO train layout when you can light it up. So you're going to see how I've done that so far, and I'm going to share with you some of the wiring stuff that I've done, the type of equipment that I'm using, things like that. So, and then you'll get a little glimpse as to what's coming up in the next video, new projects and new scenes that I'm working on for that. So anyway, if you're ready, let's go get started. So you probably remember that the last video I showed you, was the setup that I had for the Golden Pond scene. I had just purchased these trees at a local train show and was just getting ready to get started with doing the scenery in Golden Pond. And this is what it looks like today. I've got the scenery in, the water features are in. As you can tell by the glistening on the water with the little waves, I was very happy with how that turned out. You'll see a little bit later on how all of this lights up, the pole light over the pier and the cabin and things like that. It looks pretty neat when it's lit up by night, but about 85% done right now, I think, at this point. You probably also remember from the last video, this is what Whispering Creek looked like at the time. I had just poured the water, and I had mentioned in the video that I was waiting for the water to cure. This is what it looks like after it cured and after I got all this trees put in and some of the landscaping done. Once again, very happy with how the water feature turned out. About 85% done. I've added, the water feature itself is complete. I've added some figures, people fishing, a pole light to light it up at night, and there's a sign light for the Whispering Creek sign, so that's looking good. Now, you might wonder, where are all those wires going to and coming from? So this is what it looks like underneath. You might remember that on a previous video when I was doing the bench work, I pointed out how when I was creating the frames, I was drilling these holes underneath the framing to run the wires. So this is how it looks. And all these wires are running from light fixtures throughout the layout over to the what are called lighting hubs. You'll see those in just a second. And it looks confusing, but actually it's all wired out and laid out. I'll show you a plan that I have to keep track of all this stuff in a second. I'm using the Woodland Scenics Just Plug lighting system, and I'm loving it. It is so simple to use. Right now I have an expansion hub that leads to 3 different lighting hubs. And these lighting hubs are tapped into all the lights that I have in the feature so far. Here's my planning board, and you might recall in the at the top of the planning board, I was planning out where I was going to put different scenes. Well, below that now I have a kind of a master copy of how all the lighting works. So, for example, if I have a problem with the light that's anywhere in Golden Pond, I can simply look at this chart. I can see what lighting hub it goes to, and also what PSD it goes to. And PSD stands for Port Sharing Device, and you might be asking, what the heck is that? A port sharing device is actually, you can think of it like an extension cord. There's one main line from the port sharing device that goes to the lighting hub, and then you can put up to 4 lights in the port sharing device. So it's almost like a power strip or an extension cord. And I have 3 of them right now and hooked up. And this system is so simple to use. And it really, bringing things to light changes the dimension of your layout completely. Here's what the family farm is looking like nowadays. And this is kind of a daylight view, if you will. And then this is the nighttime view, how it looks at night. They have the American flag all lit up, the farmhouse lit up, the tractor shed lit up, the barn. You can see there's a car shed in the back there. That's also lit up. I put in a lot of lights here, even to the point to where I bought a truck for the farm, and the truck headlights and tail lights light up as well. So it is pretty cool. And the way that it all casts shadows and everything really makes a difference at night. So it's pretty cool. Here's Golden Pond, kind of a daylight shot again. with the pond and the cabins and the flag and the trees. And this is what it's looking like at night. This what you're seeing there is a lighted caboose. I'm calling that the hobo caboose up in the mountains. And then as you go closer down to the pond, when it's lit up, you can see everything has a nice warm glow to it. You can almost imagine yourself sitting there during a evening at the pond in a cabin. It just the whole lighting thing just changes it, the layout completely. So it's really cool. Sometimes I'll be down here and I just turn off all the lights and turn on the lights for the train set and let the trains run. It's pretty neat. Now here's what's coming up next. I'm creating this thing called Prairie Road, and it is a road through a prairie that's going to run from the farm over to the schoolhouse scene in the back. And I've actually cut out a piece of styrofoam that's gonna fit right in there, and I'm gonna make that styrofoam piece look like this when I'm done. That's the goal anyway. We'll have to see if it actually turns out that way. But I want this nice prairie scene with a gravel road that leads over to the schoolhouse. Here's a kind of a prototype of the schoolhouse that I have set up right now. And you notice that little brick piece in the back corner there with the foliage on top. That's actually reminiscent of a little meeting house that students actually made out of bricks and branches right there on the property of the schoolhouse, and we'd go out there for recess. So I'm going to add that to the scene. So that's what it's looking like. Here's a couple of shots of the trains going through the nighttime scenes, and again, I'm just loving the lighting. It changes the dimension of the layout. And you're going to be seeing more of the finished product in the next video. So thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.